I mean, Kevin Hart was fired from the Oscars because of some offensive tweets. Hello? Lucky for me, the Hollywood foreign press can barely speak English, and they've no idea what Twitter is. So I got offered this gig by fax. Remember, they're just jokes. We're all gonna die soon, and there's no sequel.
Ricky Gervais stood in front of Hollywood's biggest stars at the Golden Globes and did something almost nobody in that room was willing to do. He mocked their moral lectures, joked about Jeffrey Epstein, and then turned the spotlight directly back on the industry itself.
So in the end, he obviously didn't kill himself, just like Jeffrey Epstein. Shut up! I know he's your friend, but I don't care.
And judging by some of the faces in that room, not everyone was comfortable laughing. Ricky has never been shy about exposing Hollywood's hypocrisy. And years later, his warnings hit very differently when you start looking at Ellen DeGeneres and some of the powerful people she publicly supported. Because once you start connecting those very public relationships, the story gets uncomfortable fast. That man was Kevin Hart. He and Ellen had known each other for years, with Hart becoming a regular presence on her show. But in December 2018, one of the biggest opportunities of his career disappeared almost overnight. That month, Hart landed what should have been the crowning moment of his career. He was announced as the host of the 91st Academy Awards. The reaction was huge, the kind of excitement that comes with a genuinely popular pick. Then, within 48 hours, everything collapsed. Old tweets resurfaced. Posts from 2009 to 2011 containing homophobic language started circulating across social media, and the backlash hit fast.
Here's one of the tweets in question, pause to read, and here's a whole bunch more, pause to read. Twitter users also brought up a joke from his special Seriously Funny about his son's first gay moment. Rather, he talks about how poorly he handled it. This special came out in 2010, which is around the same time as his tweets. Like 2 days later, Kevin Hart addresses the backlash on Instagram, and he lets us know that the Academy reached out to him and told him to either apologize for his past jokes or to step down. Here's what he says.
This is not the first time this has come up. I've addressed it. I've spoken on it. I've said where the rights and wrongs were.
To better understand where he's coming from in that Instagram video, he does address the homophobic jokes in his movie Get Hard on a press junket with Will Ferrell. But he doesn't apologize for the jokes. He just says that funny is funny.
A 2011 tweet in particular became the flashpoint, reigniting a conversation about comments Hart had also made during his 2010 stand-up special, Seriously Funny. The internet didn't let it go. Less than an hour after the announcement was even made, a reporter had already posted screenshots of the tweets. From there, it spread. Hart initially pushed back on Instagram, saying he wouldn't be apologizing.
Kevin Hart also addressed the joke controversy from his special Seriously Funny in a cover story he did with Rolling Stone back in 2015. With regard to the joke about his son's first gay moment, he told the magazine, "I wouldn't tell that joke today because when I said it, the times weren't as sensitive as they are now. And I think we love to make big deals out of things that aren't necessarily big deals because we can. These things become public spectacles, so why set yourself up for failure?" So after Kevin Hart refuses to apologize in his non-apology video on Instagram, internet users become more upset with the comedian and demand that he steps down from the Oscars or that the Academy replace him.
But by the next morning, his position had completely shifted. He stepped down. On Twitter, he posted an apology to the LGBTQ community.
So what does Kevin Hart do when the Academy gives them their ultimatum and asks them to either apologize or step down? Kevin Hart does both. He tweets the following: "I have made the choice to step down from hosting this year's Oscars. This is because I do not want to be a distraction on a night that should be celebrated by so many amazing, talented artists. I sincerely apologize to the LGBTQ community for my insensitive words from my past." He further tweets, "I'm sorry that I hurt people. I am evolving and want to continue to do so. My goal is to bring people together, not tear us apart. Much love and appreciation to the Academy. I hope we can meet again."
It was a sharp reversal from the defiance he'd shown just hours earlier. For the first time in decades, the Academy Awards would move forward with no host at all. And that's when Ellen stepped directly into the controversy. She didn't simply post a message defending Kevin or offer him support behind closed doors. She brought him onto her show and gave him the opportunity to address the scandal himself. But during that interview, Ellen revealed that she'd already done something behind the scenes Kevin apparently hadn't expected. What happened next turned the interview into a much bigger story. Because Ellen hadn't simply decided to defend Kevin publicly. She had personally gotten involved. In January 2019, Hart sat down with Ellen to explain his side of the controversy. But what ultimately attracted just as much attention wasn't only what Kevin said. It was what Ellen revealed she had been doing behind the scenes. Ellen wasn't merely giving Kevin a platform, she was using her own influence to try to reopen a door that had just closed.
Ellen reveals that she called the Academy and asked them to reconsider, and she even asked Kevin Hart to reconsider hosting the Oscars that year. She goes on to call his online critics haters, but Kevin Hart stands firm in his decision to not host the Oscars. Following his appearance on Ellen's show, the internet got even more upset, but not just with Kevin Hart. Now the internet is upset with Ellen. Once again, the controversy is back in the headlines. Even CNN's Don Lemon had some words for both comedians. Don Lemon says, "Apologizing and moving on does not make the world a better place for people who are gay or people who are transgender. Being an ally does." Kevin Hart responds to Don Lemon on Instagram, and here you can pause to read what he said. And the point of his post is that people grow and evolve.
To her supporters, that was loyalty to a friend she believed had changed. But to her critics, it raised a different question. How far was Ellen willing to go for people inside her circle? What made all of this even more layered, though, was what was swirling around Kevin Hart separately. Several people had spoken out about deeply troubling behavior, and his associations and actions had long been treated by many as evidence of ties to a very specific, very elite circle. On top of that, Hart's former assistant came forward claiming he regularly cheated on his wife with employees, describing behavior that some said gave off very distinct Diddy-like energy. To be clear, those remain allegations.
Oh, the cheating. What have you witnessed besides everybody seeing the tape? What have you witnessed, though, personal assistant?
I witnessed, there's a blonde girl who has this pretty curly hair. She's light-skinned, skinny. I think she's probably black and white, black and Spanish or something. She has like this fluffy, natural hair. He bought her in the office, and she drives a Range Rover. That's how I know who it is, and Kevin drives his different cars. She comes into the office, and when he introduced her to me, he said that she was his model for Hustle Heart, taking the Hustle Heart supplements and, posting them.
Gorgeous.
She's beautiful.
And what'd you see?
Kevin and I, we shared an office. Kevin bought the entire floor. One side was Laugh Out Loud, one side was Heartbeat. And so he had the office, and then it was this big office like the size of this room. And right here was my office. Right here was his office. He had a middle table, the conference room, and a bathroom, his dressing room, and a kitchen. I came in one day. I don't know if anything happened, but there was somebody in his office, and I was heading to mine because somebody just put a TV on my wall. Correct. Someone was supposed to put a TV on my wall.
Okay.
And I came in and I walked right back out, and I was like, whatever is happening in there, I know it's not good. I didn't see anything, but I left.
You heard noises?
Yes. I don't know what kind of, but it was something happening. I knew who was in there.
Who?
The blonde girl.
Oh, he ain't even in hotel rooms. He said, last time I got caught up in a hotel room.
And that's why he wanted a shower. And he told his designer that he needed a new couch. And I told his designer, I said he needed a new couch because he wanted to on his couch. That's what he needs it, because the one that you got in there is not comfortable enough to be pounding some cheeks. That's why he needs a new couch.
But stay with us, because the next name on this list didn't just face allegations. That name is Diddy, and his connection to Ellen runs deep. He appeared on her show roughly 21 times over the years. They had a long, warm friendship, and watching those old clips back now is genuinely unsettling. Diddy seemed completely at ease around Ellen, comfortable enough to say things on camera that, with everything we know now, sound almost like he was daring someone to put the pieces together. It reads like the confidence of someone who believed he was completely untouchable. In one clip, Diddy appeared alongside French Montana, and it was pretty obvious he wasn't sober. The exchange came across as bold, awkward, and oddly revealing. In another interview, he casually brought up an intimate encounter at Nobu restaurant, clearly catching both Ellen and the audience off guard. And in yet another appearance, he described his parties kicking off around 9:30 p.m. and then moving upstairs to a hotel suite well into the early hours. He even joked, with a straight face, that 3 a.m. was the hour you do bad things. At the time, people laughed. Now, those clips are getting a very different reception. Not because the interview proves Ellen knew what happened outside her studio, it doesn't, but because hindsight completely changes the way audiences hear certain comments.
I see you said I mentioned Justin Bieber. You ain't say I mentioned Kevin Hart.
Okay. Well, what's going on with Kevin Hart?
I don't know, man.
Oh,
they, you know, the internet is going wild on him, saying that he was a curator and a narrator of one of the Diddy parties and got caught on tape. You hear that?
Wow. I didn't hear that one.
That must be one of your favorite. That must be one of your favorite comedians then. Cause you ain't hear that?
That's cool.
Huh?
I didn't hear it.
Get out of here.
It's cool, but I didn't hear that one.
Oh my!
Must have missed it, man. I think I caught most of them.
I think he almost fell in the tub with one of the girls. Diddy had some girls in the tub, a tub of baby oil or something like that, and he almost fell in the tub. It was crazy.
You know, he would be one of the celebrities that I definitely wouldn't think would be involved in anything illegal. For sure.
Okay, when you hosted for Diddy, did you catch any baby oil?
I hosted for Diddy. Kevin, come here. Can you go get some girls? Get me in the bedroom with some girls? Let's get some girls up here, please. First and foremost, I'm not getting in the bed.
You asking the wrong person the wrong question. That's like your question.
Say pause. Don't acknowledge it. Nothing to do with me and Puff. Nothing to do with me and Puff right now. Hold on.
We have a scene like this, you gotta bring bosses with you. As you see, it's female friendly. We got a ladies and female. She's butt ball. That's what I call it, raw dog. I'm not jumping the tub myself. You know, once everybody moves out, you know, just me and the lady. This is my scene. I'm used to this type of thing. You know, doing what I do best. You know?
Oh, shit! Oh, did the camera catch that? Cut the camera! Cut the camera off!
But you gotta realize this, man. People who get caught up in certain those things like that, those parties and things like that, is that they don't go there looking for that stuff. You gotta understand, they get caught up in the moment with the alcohol, the drugs, and then certain bottles that are laced with certain things that take you away from your normal self. And you end up probably doing something that you probably never do again in your life. You never get caught up in those things ever before. There are a lot of celebrities that go to these parties like this. And they not only Diddy parties. I went to a party before and You Can't Handle the Truth and King Kong Ain't Got Nothing on Me was at one of those parties.
Then, Judge Joe Brown added another layer to the wider speculation surrounding Diddy. Speaking about the case, Brown raised questions about whether years of recordings could contain compromising material involving powerful people. He wasn't specifically accusing Ellen, but listen carefully to what he actually said.
You see what came out with Diddy and all that dark side stuff that he'd been up to that he did not deny. By the way, what you were looking at with Diddy was the pimp game, classic pimp game. And pimps used to suck more in the penitentiary than everybody but the peasants. But now, hey man, it's about pimping, man. You really want to be a pimp? Do you know what that means? That's about as unmanly and unmasculine as you can get. You are as far away from duty, honor, obligation, protecting those that you love as you can possibly be. So that's what you want, pimp your ride, man. See, it's become part of the vernacular, so the target of the propaganda that you want to diminish himself is doing it for you because he has embraced and internalized what you've been trying dutifully to put in his head. You've made your creature. The wolf is a wolf, but the dog is no longer the dog. The wolf can feed himself as a pack structure and leadership. The alpha males and females in the wolf pack, and dogs are all betas, and they get their kibbles and bits opened by their masters and mistresses, and they wag their tails and are dutifully servile to their human bosses. It's kind of a thing. Dee Dee's case has not gotten all the way through the system. Diddy, I suspect, was engaged in an act of self-defense of sorts by getting blackmail information over a 15-year period on people he had to work with so that he could keep things on an even plane. He found out what a freak he and his acquaintances were, what freaks they were, and a lot of people got disgusted. But that's what I've told folks. When you start ideating on being like the people that entertain you, be careful, because you may be into something else if you emulate them, what they're really about. You see, these people are to entertain you, and that means creating images and impression that may be totally fictitious rather. So you're basing what you are about on an adult who spent their entire lifetime being about fantasy, make-believe, fiction, and disassociation of the current situation from reality. So be careful.
But by this point, Ellen's own public image had already changed dramatically. Allegations about the workplace culture behind her show had shattered much of the be kind persona audiences had known for years. And inevitably, people began re-examining the relationships and people most closely associated with that era. One of the people audiences most strongly associated with Ellen's show was Stephen "Twitch" Boss. After rising to fame on So You Think You Can Dance, Twitch became Ellen's DJ and eventually an executive producer on the show. In December 2022, he died by suicide at the age of 40, a loss that shocked his family, colleagues, and millions of viewers who knew him from television. His death inevitably generated enormous discussion online, particularly because it came after years of controversy surrounding the workplace culture at Ellen's show.
When Allison Hawker came out and she tried to say that Twitch was struggling with active addiction, it honestly set alarm bells off in my head. It just didn't sit right with me, especially because in his autopsy, we know that it came back clear he did not have any substances nor alcohol in his system. And the way she was portraying that was this is what possibly caused his demise because he was struggling with a lot and he was also in active addiction. Twitch's family had to sign NDAs to even attend his funeral. Also alleged that Allison changed her name from Boss back to Hawker on Instagram 48 hours after the funeral. She also hired a defense attorney and altered her story about Twitch's whereabouts. And I am sorry, but if this is actually true, this is all very, very sketchy. And said that they had the same feeling that something has been off with this all along, and it's now in hindsight and painfully clear that he was living with the enemy.
But speculation isn't evidence, and there is no basis to claim Ellen caused his death. What we do have is Ellen herself speaking publicly about what Twitch meant to her. Long before Ellen became daytime television's Queen of Kindness, another relationship had already placed her private life under extraordinary public scrutiny. Ellen and Anne Heche dated from 1997 to 2000, becoming one of Hollywood's most visible same-sex couples at a time when being openly gay could still carry enormous professional consequences. Years later, Anne would speak publicly about that period in her life. Rather than interpret that relationship for her, it's worth hearing how Anne herself remembered parts of that period. Because her version of events gives a much more complicated picture than the celebrity love story audiences saw from the outside.
Broke up with her because she had a lot of money, or you broke up with her because...
I broke up with her because her goal was to have a lot of money, and mine was to find love, and hers was I want 60 billion. Good luck. Why do you think she tried to put me in an institution, folks? I have not rambled on about her for one single moment. For 20 years, I have withheld my understanding. I have been canceled since the day I was born. I've been buried since the day I was born. Every single truth that I spoke, I was hit more, buried more, or despised more.
On August 5th, 2022, Anne Heche was critically injured after her car crashed into a Los Angeles home. The crash caused a major fire, and Heche was taken to the hospital in critical condition. She was hospitalized following the crash and later declared legally dead under California law due to brain death.
What he told us was that the CIA can intercept anything from anyone, number one. Number two, they can remotely take control of your car through the car's embedded computer. To do what? To make you drive off a bridge, into a tree, to make you kill yourself, and make it look like an accident.
And this morning we have some sad news about actress Anne Hayes. She is in a coma after a car crash a week ago. And her family said last night she is not expected to survive.
Did she appear in any way inebriated or drunk or impaired?
She did not. She wasn't slurring her words. She had bright, beautiful blue eyes. She was just a sweet girl.
She was 53 years old. At the time, Hetche had also recently worked on Girl in Room 13, a Lifetime film dealing with human trafficking. That detail later became fuel for online conspiracy theories surrounding her death. But no credible evidence has established that her work on the film caused the crash or that Ellen had anything to do with what happened. And that brings us back to Ricky Gervais. When he stood on that Golden Globe stage and mocked Hollywood's habit of lecturing everyone else about morality, people laughed because Ricky was doing what Ricky always does, pushing the joke as far as he possibly could.
I don't tell people not to be offended. I tell them I don't care if they are.
Right.
Be offended if you want.
Yeah.
It makes it funnier for me.
But years later, after scandals involving some of Hollywood's most celebrated figures, that monologue sounds very different. Not because Ricky proved Ellen was involved in some secret criminal network. He didn't. And nothing we've shown proves that either. What it does show is something much simpler. Hollywood is a very small world. Powerful celebrities defend one another, appear on one another's shows, share the same stages, and build public images together. And sometimes, years later, those relationships look very different in hindsight. Maybe that was Ricky's real point all along. The people telling everyone else how to behave aren't necessarily the people who know the most. Sometimes, they're simply the people with the biggest microphone. And Ellen DeGeneres had one of the biggest microphones in Hollywood. The question is how much she actually knew about the people sitting across from her. What do you think? Were these simply celebrity friendships that looked different in hindsight, or was Hollywood far more interconnected than the public realized? Let me know in the comments, subscribe for more Hollywood deep dives, and I'll see you in the next one.